This is the Transforming Anxiety podcast with mindfulness teacher Kelly Hanlon McCormick. And today is episode number 267, Your Magic. My intention for this conversation is that we let go and get magical. I think too many of us are walking around playing smaller and quieter and more pretend nonsensical go with the flow than we really are. And I don't want that. I want our magic. Welcome in. It's the Transforming Anxiety podcast, episode number 267, Your Magic. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. All right, confession. I already recorded this one. I almost released it last week, but it just wasn't quite right. There was more to say. I needed to say it differently. So I let some weird perfectionist-ish bug get me and I yanked it. So here we are again. Take 2 of the magic episode. I'm not really a perfectionist, or I didn't think I was really a perfectionist. I'm finding out actually that we all are, that perfectionism is a spectrum, like most things are. And surprise, surprise, I have more perfectionist tendencies than I thought. More on that in a few episodes down the road. We will be talking about perfectionism, promise. But anyway, today, again, I want to talk about your magic. Like the things that make you you, the things that are your signature things. Like if you were a brand, this is what would set you apart. This is like the core of you, the essence of you, the weird and amazing and idiosyncratic things that make you totally, utterly, uniquely, amazingly you. So think about like when you walk into a room, what do you bring? What do people know you for? When you're not around, what is it that people miss about you? What's lacking because you're not there? What do people look to you for? What do they admire you for? What do they rely on you for? What do they ask you about? What do they think you're good at? What do they want your thoughts and opinions on? What do you find yourself regularly talking to people about? Like, what do people seek you out to get your take on? What excites you? What do you get excited to talk with people about, ask questions about, learn about? What lights you up? What brings you closer to you and makes you more you? So these are all some prompts to get you thinking about what your magic is. Sometimes it can be helpful to start with the opposite of these questions, like what takes you further away from yourself? What makes your soul shrink up and wither? What makes you feel completely blocked or stuck or frozen? What do you feel eternally confused by? Sometimes these questions can highlight things that are not your thing, right? Not your magic. But I want to warn you here, this is useful for about a minute. It's infinitely more powerful and it's way more useful to be for something than it is to be against something. This is true for all the things. Whatever you believe, whatever you want, whatever you're up to, whatever you focus your attention on, remember to put your intention and your eyes on what you desire and love and connect with instead of what you don't. It's a dead end to keep looking at what you don't want or don't like or don't connect with. Okay, so your magic. First, we kind of have to find the magic, right? What is my magic? What makes me me? What's the most me stuff about me? I think we need to spend some time here. So be with this long enough to really let the you of you come up to the surface. You could even ask the people in your life, what makes me me? Like, what do you think of when you think of me? Tell them what makes them them. Reflect back to them what their magic is. Those things that are just so uniquely them. It's kind of fun. All right, I want to give you some examples here before you get too carried away in your own head about stuff that you think you need to be doing for other people right? I can already hear that there's a pull towards, okay, all right, this is something else I need to do. I'm going to add it to my list. And that's not it at all. So I want to give you some examples of the magic from people that I know well, people that are in my own life. All right. One of my girlfriends, she is truly like this magical unicorn of a being. She can hear anything, and she hears anything without judging it. Like, she's a truly open, curious, compassionate, deeply kind person who just does not judge. Like, do you know how rare that is? This is part of her magic for sure. She also knows how to make things fun. Like, a few years ago on Halloween, we had this party. There was a whole group of parents and kids, and she made this scavenger hunt for the kids. And the kids were all tweens and teens. So this was not a kindergarten level scavenger hunt. She made the scavenger hunt. She had two teams. There was Team Freddie and Team Jason. And it was so fun. It was hilarious. She's also great at making sure that she never forgets to take photos while we're out doing stuff. She's not always on her phone. She's never overbearing about it. But there's always this moment where she's like, "Hey guys, let's take a pic." She grabs a great photo of the people or the food or the environment, the sunset, like whatever aspect makes that night great. The memory making part of it, right? So that she can share it and we all have that memory tucked away. Okay, my mom, she has this really great magic around entertaining. Like, she knows how the flow of a gathering should go. Food and drinks and introducing people. If there's a family get together, she always has a new game for us to play that's good for all ages. She sometimes curates playlists for the background. She's just great at creating a really welcoming environment for people to gather and hang out and just feel good. It's not something everybody can do, right? It's magic. Another one of my friends, she's great at finding new places and new events in town. So restaurants, parks, shows, or artists or whoever's coming through town. It's like she has her finger on the pulse of the city and she can anticipate what will be a great activity or a great outing or the new food that we need to go try. So you know it's going to be a good time when she texts and she's like, "Okay, I have an idea." Another friend of mine, her kind of like obsessive hobby is, or just point of interest, I guess, is local politics. So school board stuff, regional stuff, state stuff. And you can go to her, all the things that you don't know, judges, sheriffs, representatives. And she's in touch with a lot of these people. They have been to her backyard barbecues before. And I can always drive by and like take a photo of her front lawn. And I'm like, okay, research is handled. I know who I want to be looking for when I go vote. She and I are very aligned on our values, on our issues and politics. So it's just this magic of hers that she is deeply invested and deeply engaged in what's happening politically. These are the things that make these people magic, right? The magic of people is in them. This is not a to-do list thing for these people. These aren't things they produce in the normal sense of like everyday chores, getting stuff done kinds of things. It's the way they laugh. It's the way things feel when they're around. It's what they contribute, what they talk about. It's the whole spirit they bring when they show up. And you have that too. So, firstly, again, do you know your magic? Do you know what you bring when you show up? I think we all kind of know this deep down. We have a hunch about what we're good at. We know what the people in our life are good at. Like, when you and your partner or when you and a couple of friends work together, the whole is even more magic because you've got multiple magicians coming in to make magic together, right? For holidays or get-togethers or parties or whatever. So I'm making some assumptions here for the sake of this conversation, and keeping this kind of short and sweet, but you need to recognize and know and be able to name your own brand of magic. You can ask people in your life for help with this. Maybe knowing your Enneagram number, that could help with this, in my opinion. Looking at things you really love, that will help with this too. But we have to get clear here first. Now, here's what happens sometimes. You ready? Sometimes we start to dull our magic. Like we get the hint that our magic, what makes you you, could also be the thing that gets you rejected or embarrassed or makes it look or feel like you don't belong. Like, let's take a big example. Taylor Swift's undeniable magic is her songwriting and her stage presence and just overall the way that she is as a rock star, right? But that wasn't guaranteed. It definitely could have, and I'm sure did at points along the way. It could definitely have gotten her laughed at or questioned or flat out rejected, right? Someone doesn't like her and said no to her along the way. Someone passed on her album or song. Someone wasn't sure that she was quite right for the country scene or the pop scene or whatever and went for another singer instead. Just like writers, they get rejected over and over again when they submit their books to agents, to publishers. Athletes were in the throes of the Olympics, right? They fail, they lose, they get injured. The magic things sometimes don't mean you win. Sometimes you do your magic, you show up and offer the youest you that you can, and it falls flat. So sometimes we start to dull our magic. We say, all right, well, that didn't work. Maybe I shouldn't do it that way. Maybe I shouldn't do it at all. And this can be something simple like asking for what you want, offering to take charge of the weekend plans with the family. It could be something huge, like the dreams you have for your career, where you want to live, a relationship you want to create. It usually doesn't work 100% of the time. Or it takes us many iterations, many tries before we start to figure it out and get it right. Or it's not always well received, right? Sometimes we're with the wrong people. Sometimes we're saying it the wrong way, or some other of 1,000 reasons why things just go sideways sometimes. But we get a whiff of, this isn't going well, this feels bad, and we back off, right? We pump the brakes on our magic. We slow things way down. And again, this can show up in a lot of ways. One is we stop sharing our thoughts and ideas and opinions because it starts to feel too risky and too vulnerable to say, this is what I think about that. We stop asking for what we want because we worry it's too much. It's too inconvenient. It's just silly. We shift course on our goals and our dreams because where we were aiming wasn't really going to work out, or it wasn't happening fast enough, or it would require a big ask of somebody at some point. So we start to get a little smaller, right? We start to play a little safer. We aren't as magical as we can be. We're like a copy of a copy of a copy of ourselves. Have you ever seen like an original document and then someone makes a copy and then someone makes a copy of the copy and then someone copies the copy of the copy, right? Of the copy. And now things are starting to kind of blur and run together a bit, and it's not nearly as sharp and as crisp and as clear as it once was, right? You kind of have to squint and then you sort of get the idea. Yeah, we do that to ourselves. Like we become a distant copy of the original us, the magical version of us. And things blur together. Like we forget that we even had a goal, or that we brought a certain kind of energy, or we could do that thing so easily and make it so fun and amazing. So, how do you know you're doing this? Okay, a few hints. You start to feel like you're going through the motions a bit, right? You feel disconnected from what you're doing. You don't remember whether you took your vitamins. You have no recollection of driving to work. You pick up your phone to check something, but as soon as you unlock your phone, you have no clue why you picked it up in the first place. Like you're just unengaged. These are clues that you have dulled your magic. You've lost a sense of purpose and intention. You're kind of trying to quietly move through the days and the weeks, and there's no sense that you're calling people towards you, that you're inviting good energy and vitality to come your way. And you start feeling kind of detached, kind of apathetic. Another hint is that you start telling people no preemptively. Like you say no to opportunities or good ideas or things that sound fun because you consciously or subconsciously get the inkling that you might be getting a no. So you start saying no. This is a personal favorite of mine. I'm annoyingly good at this. I tell people no, or I say, no, that's okay. I've got it. It's no biggie. And in that way, it's like I'm trying to save myself from having someone else tell me no. It seems so much better that way. Safer. It's not, by the way. This is just a knee-jerk, maladaptive way to protect ourselves. We also start pulling back. Like, okay, I was watching, again, on the Olympics last night, I was watching a gymnast do this, but you've seen dancers do this, athletes, and they're either kind of warming up and they're visualizing something. They're visualizing how it's going to go. And you can see them kind of partway going through the motions, right? They're doing things, but only like halfway. In the dance world, we called this marking it, right? So they'd play through the music and you'd kind of move through the steps, but only a little bit. It was just mostly in your mind. And if you're watching someone mark it, if you're watching them do this, you have no idea what the full routine is going to look like because this is just a drastically watered down version of whatever that full out 100% performance will be. Like I saw one of the male gymnasts last night. He was going through his parallel bars routine in his mind, but of course he's just standing on the floor next to like the bench where they're all sitting while they're waiting. So it doesn't look anything like what it's going to look like, but you can see him visualizing it. You can see him kind of marking through it. And if we start doing this, right? If we start marking through our life, this is like dulling your magic. It's like you're marking through the days, only doing things half out. It's like if he had done that routine just like that in his warm-ups, just on the floor, instead of getting on the parallel bars and showing us what he's really got, right? You can see the bigger picture when you're doing this, when you're dulling your magic, the bigger vision in your mind, but what's coming out, right? Your words, your actions, how you show up in the world, it's just a really thin version of the full you, of your magic. Now, I know some of these symptoms, this is like telling your doctor you're tired, right? It doesn't mean that if you have some of these symptoms that you are dulling your magic. These symptoms and side effects are cues that plenty of things could be happening internally. It might be related to your magic or not, but it's worth considering. No? Because these are clear signs. These are important signs that something is up. And I want to tell you, you cannot dull your magic forever because it will eventually begin to disappear. And I say this not to scare you, but more of a cautionary tale. I think that inner pilot light, it doesn't ever really fully go out. You'll always have some inner spark of you in there, but reigniting it and getting that flame truly fully going again, if that dies down to almost nothing for too long, it takes huge amounts of effort to get things going again. So I do believe this is one of the important things here. Keep your magic going, both because you need your magic, we need your magic, and because losing sight of your magic for too long will demand gargantuan amounts of effort and energy to get things moving again. It's like you have to remember who you are, what your magic is, and how to tap into that source again. And when you've lost sight of your magic, it's hard to do those things, like big time. It's like trying to get all creative and resourceful when you feel absolutely spent. Tricky. Okay, I'm not totally sure I did this more justice on the second go around, but there we go. Your magic. This is important. Keeping the you of you alive and magical and at the ready, not dulling your magic, not getting smaller or shying away from things because you fear rejection, judgment, failure. I know, I get it. This is one of my OG absolute go-to coping mechanisms, dulling my magic. It just feels safer in a lot of ways. But it's not, because it steals something much larger and more vital. You. We can't get safe at the expense of ourselves, because what's the point? No, we have to be willing to create safety through courage, vulnerability, and magic. Yeah? Yeah. All right. That's it for today. I will see you next week at the same time, same place for more transforming anxiety. And until then, please take care. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for doing this work alongside me. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and your family, anyone who, could use the support and the guidance, who could use these teachings and practices. Thank you for sharing your stories with me, telling me about your experiences and asking your questions. I'm here with you. Let's do this together. Transforming anxiety.